40-gallon breeders are one of my favorite tanks in the aquarium hobby. With its 3-foot length and 18-inch depth, this tank provides a great footprint which allows for flexibility to both heavily aquascape the tank and still provide plenty of swimming space for your fish. So let's dive into the fish barn and take a look at some great fish that you can put in a 40-gallon breeder. Swordtails are one of my favorite fish for a 40-gallon breeder. They come in a wide variety of color forms, from red, green, and everything in between. There are also some wild type swords, which are absolutely stunning in their own right. Swordtails are fairly hardy and easy to breed. It's pretty easy to be successful with these fish by keeping them in hard water and at a tropical temperature. And with a 40-gallon breeder, you can provide them with plenty of swimming space, as well as rockwork and plants for the swordtail fry to hide in. If swordtails aren't your thing, you can definitely look at their cousins, the platy, which have the same care requirements. Shell dwellers are another great fish that you can put in a 40 breeder. What makes this fish a lot of fun is their personalities. You'll be constantly seeing these fish moving the sand around and rearranging the tank. The tank will never be the same from day to day. Most species of shell dwellers are relatively easy to keep, just requiring clean water, escargot shells, a sand substrate, and a higher pH level above 7.5 or so. While these fish spawn readily, some species are easier to breed than others, with the main issue being fry predation. Species like the Neolamprologus similis and Neolamprologus multifasciatus are easy to breed, while some of the other species, like the gold ocellatus, have been known to be rabid fry eaters and requiring more intervention on the part of the fish keeper to raise the fry. These fish can be aggressive to any fish that comes into their territory on the bottom of the tank, so your tank mate options are quite limited. Honestly, due to the size of the 40 breeder, specifically the height, I would just keep the shell dwellers in their own species aquarium. Staying with Lake Tanganyika, there are many rock-dwelling species that you can keep in a 40 breeder as well. While these fish don't rearrange the tank like shell dwellers, what makes these fish great is their personality and movement. You'll see these fish moving in and out of the rockwork, which is something that's always made me stop and admire an aquarium. With all the Tanganyikan fish, it's always fun to watch these fish interact with one another and interact with the tank. There are some rock-dwelling species of Neolamprologus, like the Neolamprologus caudopunctatus, but you could also go with many of the Goodeids species, like these Goodeids dickfeldi. These fish have the same care requirements as the fish above, minus the shells. However, you will need to provide plenty of rockwork to provide hiding places and to curb aggression. You could also do a small group of Cyprichromis in a 40 breeder as well. While these are Lake Tanganyikan cichlids, they behave more like tetras or rainbowfish. What makes these fish stand out are their amazing colors along with their schooling behavior. I currently have this group in a 40 breeder and they're doing quite well. For cichlids, they're relatively peaceful and fairly easy to take care of. Like the two aforementioned species, these are Lake Tanganyikan cichlids, and they do like your clean hard water and tropical temperatures. Since these fish do get quite lengthy, I would set up the tank with plenty of swimming space with some rockwork along the edges for hiding spots. You will have to be careful to avoid any of the jumbo variants of Cyprichromis, because those fish do require a larger tank than a 40 breeder. These fish are maternal mouth brooders, and once the fry reach maturity, the mother will spit the fry into the rockwork. If you are successful raising the fry, you may need to rehome or upgrade the tank in order to have room for all your new fish. But with the size of the 40 breeder, I would also keep this as a species-only aquarium. If you're looking into some rarer fish and are conservation-minded, then Goodeids are for you. Goodeids are live bears that come from Mexico, and while not the flashiest or most colorful fish, they definitely have some awesome sheens and patterns. Due to habitat destruction, these fish are extremely threatened in their native environment with some species even being extinct in the wild. While you can keep a lot of these species in a 29-gallon tank, there are some species that get a good 4 to 5 inches, which makes a 40 breeder the perfect footprint. The footprint of a 40 breeder gives you plenty of swimming space, which gives you the ability to aquascape and heavily plant the tank, which provides great cover for fry. In terms of care for Goodeids, there are 2 things that you need to keep in mind. 1, these fish do like cooler water, and they really don't do well once their temperature gets above 75 degrees or so. So obviously, you wouldn't need a heater, which I feel is a benefit. And also, since they're live bears, they do require higher pH water, very similar to the Swordtails that we mentioned earlier. If you're someone who's conservation minded and want to help a species that's threatened, I would highly recommend Goodeids. A 40 breeder would also make a great aquarium for some of the smaller rainbowfish species. These are great schooling fish and will provide a great deal of color and movement to any aquarium. You could easily keep many of the smaller pseudomcgill species in a 40 breeder, and I personally like the pseudomcgill luminatus. All of these pseudomcgill species come in a wide variety of colors and have a very unique body shape, which I find to be quite interesting. This genus of rainbowfish stays quite small, so you can keep quite a few and keep a large school in your aquarium. You could also keep some of the smaller Melanitania species as well, like the Melanitania praecox or the Melanitania Wallace Road. However, you are going to need to research some of your Melanitania species because some of them definitely do require a 4-foot tank. But if you're looking for a lot of color and a lot of action in your aquarium, rainbowfish are definitely a fish for you.